Now, I'm often called a realist, both I say that about myself and other people have told me that as well. And the reason I say that, and the reason I start this episode off is for some, family involvement in any kind of a project will be hell on earth. However, we're not talking about those people, we're talking about you. You know, for others, it might be some parts, but not all parts, and still others, it is all hands on deck throughout a project from the beginning to the end, because those people just have that chemistry. They really do. So how do you involve the whole family in a landscape project or any home improvement project for that matter? This is what we're discussing here this week. I am not a family counselor. I am a landscape designer and contractor that has seen a lot over the years, and I want to help you guys create some memories and get the job done. You know, done right, it can be great memories, fantastic memories that will last forever. But done wrong, it can really throw a wrench into family dynamics that basically result in hurt feelings, lack of involvement, or no involvement at all. Let's do it right the first time, shall we? Hey, I'm glad you're here. My name's Matt. You can call me Coach, and let's get this thing started, right? I am so glad that you have become part of my Yard Coach crew for the next few minutes. Hey, I'm Matt, and you can call me Coach. This channel and this podcast is all about DIY landscape education, concepts, and ideas so you guys can tackle projects yourself, be a heck of a lot more self-reliant, and save a boatload of money in the process. Man, after 20 years in the green industry, I bring with me a lot of knowledge and experience that I want to share with you, the modern, educated, self-reliant homeowner of today. So, let's start this off with a story, shall we? So there I was, sitting at yet another client's kitchen table. Hundreds and hundreds of them over the years. I had been hired to design a new backyard for a couple, and I expected to be hired to complete the work. We had great chemistry together, those people and I. As a designer, we often end up injecting compromise into landscape design, which often results in smooth sailing, not only for the clients, but also for the designer and the project itself. This compromise injected into it tends to satisfy both wants and needs of all parties involved. Not everybody just gets their way or the highway. In this case, I had thought all bases were covered. All wants and needs within the budget that was discussed, that budget boundaries, which is going to be another one coming up very soon, had been met. Chemistry with the clients was good. Little did I know what was about to happen right in front of me. I was presenting the estimate after the design met all the expectations, a line item of all costs and labor costs. Then I mentioned the flat work and what I thought was agreed upon as far as the type of cement finish. A small question was asked about the cost of an upgrade in the cement finishing color by the husband. I estimated it for him. I said it would probably cost an additional amount of X. Right off the top of my head, I don't remember what it was. And that is when the wheels came off this bus. We are at the limits of the budget, the wife exclaimed. Hey, I was just asking, the husband snapped. Within 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, this small disagreement exploded into a full-out raging argument, complete with yelling and screaming and extreme embarrassment on my part. Needless to say, I excused myself and left the house and went out to my truck. This was so disturbing, I guess the neighbors heard it too, and they called the police, because I did not. I just planned on leaving. Soon, after the police had arrived, the husband was leaving. The wife was crying and I was out of a job. Matter of fact, I hadn't been paid for the design yet. So I thought anyway, all this over cement, the color and the finish. Honestly, you know, in hindsight over the years, I've told this story several times. I think there had been bigger issues under the surface that obviously I, as a landscape designer, was not privy to. Hey, in an end of the story, about 2 weeks later, I got a call from the wife who came to me with her hat in her hand, so to speak, and she vehemently apologized for everything that went on, that they had now been in counseling now for the past week and a half, and things were really looking better. And would I consider coming back over and discussing it with them? And I did. And I got paid for the design. And I was hired to do the backyard job. And as they say, the rest was history. Everything went out smooth, and it went out very well. Matter of fact, the husband even apologized too. You know, if you've followed me either here on the podcast or on the YouTube channel, I am a big proponent of family involvement when it comes to landscape projects or any home improvement project. Now, with that said, there are limits, and everybody knows them most of the time, based on the age of children, congruency within the home, and the scope of the project itself. Toddlers, shall we say, will not be using power equipment. They probably don't have too much of a concept below the age of 4 of what is really going on, but they can watch and learn and help in their own really small way. Now, grade schoolers can offer ideas, even if they are not used. During the planning phase and later, they can help with demolition. They can ride in the empty wheelbarrows as the days go through the project, and project parts can be made fun to them, where they feel a part of it. Teenagers, yeah, like my grandma always said, before you attack somebody, always say, bless their heart. Bless their hearts can be involved in planning and ideas, and later in actual work with guidance and supervision. They can help with cleanup. They can help with initial care and celebration with family and friends when everything is all done. Now, what about extended family? You know, extended family, a lot of them have some mad skills that can be a huge advantage if the relationships are good. They can get fed and watered correctly, and they can lighten a project workload tremendously. Imagine having an electrician or a cement contractor as a brother-in-law or something like that. You know, I've been blessed with the use of my kids in many landscape makeovers in the past 30 years, both at the family homes as well as on the job site. As my 2 boys got older, a lot of very fond memories for me were left in those landscape projects. I couldn't help with everything when they were little, but you know, as they grew up and they became teenagers, yeah, they went to work with me, and they actually earned a paycheck. Was the chemistry always perfect? No. You know, as children and parents, there's always sometimes a boundary that can't be crossed, especially on the job. But the project never suffered because somebody got their nose bent out of shape or something temporarily, mine included. So it's a matter of give and take, and just like any other relationship. But you know something? Those work days, it also helped instill a very good work ethic in them, which I see in them to this day. I really do. Aw. All right, so let's talk about where to start. Well, what I have seen very successful, both in clients' worlds and also in my own, is you start small, really small. Both the project and the kids. A small weekend morning project, maybe after a pancake breakfast on a Saturday morning, you go to the nursery and you guys pick up with the things that you need. Maybe you're doing a nice color bowl or something for the back patio. So you hit the nursery, and then after you've got what you need, and on your way home, you know, you stop for a froyo or you stop for a burger or whatever, you know, and you make the morning fun. And then the afternoon is involved in putting it all together, planting it up, watering it, feeding it, standing back and taking a picture. And you started this before the age of 5 with them. That's how it really starts to plant that seed, no pun intended. An example would be going somewhere, we'll just use a box store as an example because it's easy, and you buy one of their fire pit kits for the backyard. And we go in and we go home and we build, and we photograph with everybody involved. And then that night, you know, you've put a fire together and it's a late September evening or something, and things have cooled off now, and you do a s'mores thing over that fire pit. Small backyard project. Done in one day. So everything doesn't have to be drug out for multiple weekends or something. Make sure you know what you're doing as a parent. Make sure you know what you're doing before you start. Brush up or read up and make sure that your skills are there so when you do it, you look like that superhero in their eyes. You really do. Here's another example. Maybe a weekend project, just slightly bigger than that fire pit, maybe like a raised bed vegetable garden. We visit the lumber yard, put tool belts on the kids and a hammer in their little tool belt. You take some pictures and you really get them to buy in on it. And then you make your purchase, you make your lumber purchase and whatever else you might need to put this thing together nice and sturdy and strong, and you go home. Maybe the next day you get out there and you start putting it together. You've ordered up the planting mix and stuff, and you do the wheelbarrow work on Sunday morning. We plant, we photograph again, and then show how to care for it over the course of the next few months. Later down the road, we watch these veggies form, then ripen. Make sure to plant a few fast selections like radish or something like that, something they can see come up right away and they can harvest for a salad within a month, then harvest and help prepare. There you go. There you go. It will assist in the patient's development and plant that microscopic seed that will become fertile in their later years without even knowing it. At least we hope anyway, right? Okay, now to touch on the story that we started with, let's talk about congruency. Congruency and communication between husband and wife. This is a great opportunity. Whoever is the idea person behind this and you want to make it happen, what better way than to bribe with food? And I don't mean that in a literal sense. I mean that in set the table for agreement. Talk and lay down a few agreements even before designing and groundbreaking. This is a great thing to do like a dinner out after a long work week. You go out to dinner and you sit down and you talk and you say, hey, remember we were thinking about, we got the funds, but before we even do anything, what would you like to see? And you get buy-in. Needs, wants, budget, that kind of stuff are all simple discussions, nothing really super firm right away, because you guys still got some due diligence, and that's if you're doing it DIY. But if you bring in somebody like me, you're going to want to have some homework done before that designer even lands on your front porch. And you agree 100% before seeking out that professional, before designing, and certainly before install, should you go in that direction. If you need $10,000, but you really only have $5,000, nobody wants to stack a lot of debt on shoulders. So you figure that part out, and it's all in that communication. As a family, you're going to figure this out. The last thing you want it to do is to have it be torn down because of different points of view. Both people have to listen to the other person. They have to figure out. And the other person has to explain the why. Why I want this. What are the needs? Why are we going down this road as opposed to this road? And hear it out. You will also have those same feelings. In the end, be congruent and allow those compromises for both sides. Allow the congruency when it comes to plant selections and layout, luxury touches, maintenance decisions. Are you going to throw this money into there, but now you're tripling your maintenance costs, and time is of the essence because you got young kids or a very demanding career, whatever. So also things like infrastructure. You're going to have to think out maybe a new irrigation system, maybe new drainage, those luxury items like lighting or hot tubs or patio covers or whatever. And then of course, outsourcing and hiring someone to do this for you if you don't think you can do the whole thing yourself. All right, husband and wives, congruency and communication. Now, those same husband and wives are also sometimes mom and dads. And what I have seen in my experience is thoroughly understand a child's need for involvement and do your best at explanations and education before anything goes on, and certainly during a project. Understanding their point of views from their level, the need for boundaries that need to be established, and certainly safety. But not so much about cleanliness and that kind of stuff. Man, if you're going to let them get involved in this, screw it. Let them go out and get dirty for a couple of days. And then they can have a water fight on the back patio at the end of the day, and you can throw them in the tub or in the shower. It all cleans off. You guys were kids once, weren't you? Go out and get dirty. It's just dirt, within reason, of course. And remember, the attention span really varies with age. What they think is exciting on day one, by day one at noon, they're going to want to go inside and watch TV for a little while. And so be it. They may want to come out and help dad later in the day or after a snack or whatever. Demonstrate tools to them and take the mystery out of it so no accidents take place. The last thing you want is a work site with a little sneaky, curious George that goes out there with something that could harm them when so many no's have been heard about it throughout the day one or day two. For instance, a power tool, an axe, a hammer, anything that could possibly injure. I was this way as a kid. I heard so many no's when I was growing up that when no one was around, I always thought in my head, I'll just go see for myself when you guys aren't looking. And believe me, for some things, I got in trouble. For some things, I got hurt. It's amazing that I'm even here at age 63. So make sure that you take all the mystery out. And then, once the whys have been explained, like to chainsaws and that kind of stuff, explain to them the parts that they can help in their little small way. And what parts mean, you got to watch this one from afar, guys. You can't be right next to me when I'm taking this limb off with the chainsaw, or I'm rototilling, or I'm on the trencher, or concrete saws, or when I'm moving things from the front yard to the back on the mini skid steer. Where their world comes into it is maybe when you're moving mulch or when you're moving dirt, and you can give them rides in the wheelbarrow and make it fun from that point. Give them a small shovel and they can help you fill that wheelbarrow at their pace. Some of the things that I remember when my kids were little and some clients' kids is demolition. They could get out there and help rake a little bit. They could help drag a few branches or something out to the dumpster or to my dump trailer. Shoveling materials, like I said, into wheelbarrows. Even digging holes for the planting material when it's time. A real great one is tell the kids, hey, since we're planting this cherry tree in the backyard, I want you to name it. What do you think this cherry tree should be named? And that tree will become a very special part in their life when they are allowed to attach a name to it. And it'll really make them feel a big part of the overall project. And as good parents, we always look at reward after good effort and good behavior can really cement their eagerness to help again and to be there until the end and not just phase out and go find Nintendo. Rewards can be small, like a backyard outside barbecue after a hard day, or maybe everybody gets cleaned up, you go out for pizza that night. Or maybe after a major phase of the job is done, maybe it's a weekend away, someplace fun. Maybe a theme park or camping. As parents, we oftentimes have to dig really deep and find a little extra patience at times, especially when we're being taxed with a project and you're having to deal with being the parent too. But in the end, it was rewarding, at least for me as a dad, to watch my boys take a paycheck when they were older for working with me as professionals, and they were proud of the project in the end. And I think they were also proud of themselves as well. I really loved a project that my youngest son and I did when he was in junior high school. We took on a pondless waterfall build in our backyard, and he helped me dig it, line it, fill it, did everything except the electrical hookup. I had an electrician friend and I did that. But that was great fun. And even to today, we still talk about those 2 days it took to build that. Good times. Very, very good times. So, to sum it up, you start them young. You start small, especially projects-wise. Husband and wives, be congruent as spouses. Be congruent and in agreement. And always remember compromise. Always. Be consistent and patient with each other and with the kids. If you have family close by, ask them for help. And enjoy the lightened load should they decide to throw in and give you a hand on demolition or whatever portion of the project. Take care of them. Be grateful they took the time and their energy away from maybe their busy lives to come give you a hand. Landscape projects can be a really binding, excellent way to solidify family relationships. They are a tangible result endeavor that can be seen and touched and enjoyed for years right before everybody's eyes. You know, as far as the kids go, in their own small way, they will take ownership of what took place. Whether it be a 4-hour project on that Saturday or a 4-month project redoing the whole yard. Well, there you go. Maybe a couple of insights I have learned over the decades. You may already know this stuff, obviously, but have never applied it to, home improvements or a landscape makeover with full family involvement. If I can be of any help, I'm only an email away. Hey, check out this week's YouTube channel. Got a little bit more video in there and a little more examples, and I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this podcast. As always, I will see you guys next week. Your support is always appreciated, both listening and if you go and check out the website for those 2 products. And don't forget the 15-step. That DIY landscape checklist is always there. I hope you might be interested in something there. Always helps to have a little support behind you. Well, crew, that's all I got. Take care. And as always, to your landscape success. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Yard Coach podcast. Don't forget to head over to the website at youryardcoach.com, where you will find more DIY landscape education, including the free 15-step DIY landscape checklist, Coach Matt's ebook called Landscaping Simplified, and the flagship digital course, Homescape 1.0. As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can email Coach Matt directly at youryardcoach@gmail.com. We'll see you right here next week.